Now, she began writing her novel when her daughter started having tantrums. As the story developed, the central character became obsessed with Professor Stephen Hawking and began developing an app that would help her mother be on time. Tallulah the Time Traveller, as the book is called, is a sweet modern tale, and it's just won a Golden Baobab Prize. Remarkably, really, because the novel hasn't even been published yet. Well, the author, Mary Ononokpono, joins me now. Thanks very much indeed for coming in to talk to us here on Arise News. So I spoke a little bit about the storyline there, but just tell us a bit more about Tallulah and the time travelling.
Okay, Tallulah's an inventor. She's obsessed with coding. So basically, she has an assignment to create an app. She decides to create a time management app for her scatty mom, who's very disorganised.
Yeah.
And she accidentally ends up inventing something else. So she finds herself transported to an ancient Egyptian city.
Right.
Her tablet is depleted of battery, so she has to find a way of creating a charger so she can get back home, otherwise she's stranded there.
Right, okay, so that's the adventure that then unfolds.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned there as well, this was all based originally on your daughter, who's also called Tallulah, who we can see you started illustrating her having tantrums. Tell me about that.
She's called Kiani. When she was 5 years old, she had a rare tantrum.
Okay.
And she refused to calm down. So I had my sketch pad and a pencil to hand. So I started sketching various phases of this tantrum as it was unfurling. And this character was born from those illustrations, basically.
Right.
So, yeah, that's...
And then it evolved into this story and so on. And so here are some of your drawings now.
That's Tallulah over there.
Right.
Yeah.
So is Tallulah therefore based on your daughter, even though they don't show it?
Yeah, she's based on my daughter.
Okay, fine. And what does your daughter make of the story?
She loves it. She thinks it's wonderful, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, she thinks it's imaginative. Just all the things that she likes in storybooks, basically. So.
And one thing that strikes me is that the heroine is interested, as you said, in computer coding.
Yeah.
It's quite a modern story. Her idol is Professor Stephen Hawking. Yeah. Why did you want to sort of make it so unusual, if you like, for a children's book?
I don't know. Like the character was based on my daughter. So my daughter, when she was younger, she wasn't really into girly things. Yeah, things that are deemed suitable for girls. She was more interested in, she would ask me for microscopes, telescopes, things like that, birthdays and Christmas. And then she started coding in school. She was a bit obsessed with it, basically. Right. So, yeah, I just took just inspiration that I had like in front of me, and I just fleshed it out, basically.
So she likes it, presumably. A lot of other children will like it.
Absolutely.
That's the hope.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it hasn't been published yet, even though you've won this prize. You've talked about the problems for African writers getting published. What problems have you come up against?
Well, I'm right at the beginning of my journey. I only started writing fiction last year, so this is all very surreal, basically. I think Golden Baobab are doing a fantastic thing at the moment. They're providing a wonderful platform, just in terms, because they have a few prizes. So they've got one for early chapter books, which is the one I won. Someone else has won one for picture books. There's one for illustration. So they're addressing just issues that you're finding in African children's publishing, and they've created this fantastic platform to try and bring a new generation of authors and illustrators to the forefront, basically.
Okay. You mentioned African writing. I mean, what makes writing African, would you say?
I don't know. It's just about the story, basically. For me, I don't think there's such a thing as African writing. There's just writing, basically. But obviously, if you're an African person and you're writing to your experience or from your experience, basically, I think that would make it African, basically. But for me, I'm not interested in that so much. I'm more interested in telling a global story that can appeal to children of all races, all backgrounds, basically.
Do you think that some writing that's sort of called African, stuff that you were reading when you were younger, perhaps has quite a narrow focus?
Yeah, a very narrow scope. Yeah, I think the books I grew up reading, I think there's been a problem in children's literature in terms of representation of non-white children, basically. And the books that were catered towards non-white children, they tended to be based on traditional African fables, or they would concern experiences like of a child in a village, just something that I'm not familiar with. That was not my experience growing up.
Right.
So I couldn't necessarily, it was interesting, but I couldn't necessarily relate to it. I was more concerned, or I was more interested in fun, in magic, in, imagination, playfulness, basically. Those were the kind of books that spoke to me as a child.
Right.
And they're the type of books that I would like to recreate, basically.
Okay. And the fact not making the Africanness the central point.
No,
point of the
it's
story.
like, this is the thing, like with a lot of African children's literature, like even more modern ones, I feel like it tends to be a focus on skin colour or hair. And
you just want to make a good story.
Yeah, it should be about the story, basically.
And hopefully Tallulah the Time Traveller, which sounds like a very good story, will find its way so that other people can read it too. Thank you very much indeed, Mary Ononokpono. Thanks very much indeed for joining us, and very good luck with it.
Thank you.